Nostalgia takes the wheel as the Lokar Car Show goes to Good Guys in Nashville, Tennessee. Here, the old becomes new as old-time autos are brought into the modern day.
It's a nostalgic race car. It's a race car that was raced back in the 50s and 60s.
In the early 90s, it was transformed into a drag-only car strictly. Probably in the 70s, we're guessing it was a street rod. There was a yellow paint job in there somewhere.
We've done little things to it to get it street-worthy, because in that process, he needed it electrified. We had to put lights and turn signals and brake lights and tag lights and wipers and, you know, all of those kind of things.
It's now just a limited-driven street car. I wanted a traditional hot rod. That's not traditional, but I wanted a traditional look. I wanted a tube chassis car. This one fit the bill for both of those. It's a over-the-counter 426 Generation 2 Hemi, the 4-bolt mains. It's a Siamese bore. It's been stroked, not bored out. It's stroked to 472. Everything else besides the block and the crank, which is a nodule iron, is Mopar. Everything else is aftermarket. It came with the Hemi, and so that was part of the package I bought from the previous race car owner. But yeah, I would want to keep a Mopar and a Mopar.
The grill shell originally came and it was almost flat up on top. It was more erect, and it didn't flow with the cowl. So what we wanted to be able to do in working this out with Roger is to give the grill a little bit of rake, put a little bit of a scoop or a little bit of profile in the grill shell. I mean, not the grill shell, but the grill's bars themselves. And when we did that, then we were going to have to reshape all of this. The original shell that he bought the car with extended back here, and it came to just ahead of the gas filler. It's a rush to have him drive the car, and you're in the passenger seat, and at 4,000 or 5,000 RPM, it does. It just leaps. It's incredible.
It was bought locally. A guy in town had it, and we kept it for a while. Didn't really, just kind of gathered parts, and then ended up deciding to put it on the S10 chassis. So cut all the floorboards out, put all new floorboards in, set the frame down how I wanted with the drop springs in front and back. It's got a small block Chevy with a 5-speed in it. And I work in a machine shop of a day, so I made a lot of the accessory pieces for it and stuff. Probably on and off 3 years working on it. It's best to have an idea before you start of what you're wanting, and then we tried to find little pieces here and there, like the armrest and different pieces, kind of just to, you know, put some nostalgia pieces back into it. The old era, but it's not the original color. The top's off of a Volkswagen Beetle, and then the green's just out of a shade book from DuPont.
So this is what your wife loves to drive?
Yeah, I fixed it up for her. It's her car. She's more involved with it and makes it easier for me with future projects.
This is 1961 Oldsmobile F85. It says Cutlass, but it's a mid-year upgrade. It's titled as an F85. Well, I bought it off of eBay. It had been all over the country. It had been from sold in Paducah, then went to Arizona, then it went to Nevada, then a guy traded it for to a guy in New Jersey. And its desert history is probably why it's not a rust bucket. My parents were Oldsmobile and Buick people, and that's why I kind of got onto that. And besides, everybody owns a Chevrolet. The engine is a 215 aluminum V8. It's the Oldsmobile version. There was a Buick and an Olds version in 61 through 63, and that's a 3.5 liter. That was in a Rover for years. There are places to get parts for the engine, and there is somebody in Detroit that specializes in these, and they can get you they've got everything. So there's one place in the country that we know of. I take it easy on it. It has a really good motor with a lot of power. but I never really use it because I'm afraid the transmission will let go on me. Everywhere I've ever been, I've never seen another one.
No.
It seems to be almost totally unique.
Coming up, the most unlikely car aficionado you'll ever meet. The Lokar Car Show series is being brought to you by Lokar Performance Products, quality plain and simple, and by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology, and by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping, and by Flowmaster, the exhaust technology company.
When I go to a show, it's like it's in my blood. I got to try to stop, take the back roads to try to find a truck to bring back, to restore, to go to the next show. A lot of the projects are trucks that I found, along the way. Just recently, I found an old truck in a beaver dam down in Alabama, and we're going to resurrect that truck, bring it back to life, and chances are it'll probably look like the truck that's behind me in about 30 days. When we get going and get working on a project, I can't sleep much. It's like a disorder. Could be OCD, I don't know. I don't think any doctors ever diagnosed me, but there's going to be something out there for people like me that just like to work on stuff all the time. Trucks are what built America. I mean, the farmer who grows our food has to have the truck. The big trucks that deliver the supplies to the homes, that's a truck guy. And then nowadays you got the big trucks to deliver the paint products so that we can paint the trucks. So it's like a wheel. You know, you got the man that started the truck, and then now you got the people restoring the trucks. So it's just like one big wheel that turns real slow.
We actually take your original radio out of your vintage car or classic car that you like to cruise in or go to car shows, and we bring them into the 21st century. We add everything that the 21st century cars have got. We take a regular AM radio out of your car, and we can put AM, FM stereo in it. We can add USB port so you can play your music, and it's hand-free Bluetooth, all integrated in your original radio. Same look, same feel, push buttons work, knobs work, it all stays the same. We even use your original tuner and control knobs. You can do from a 1920, this is 1937 Motorola. This is the original 1953 Studebaker. All original face, push buttons, everything works, knobs and all. But now we've took out all the main hardware and we added the Aurora design parts in it. Your FMR gives you the stereo and the auxiliary. The rest of it hooks up to it. This is your USB port, hooks into it. And over here is your Bluetooth. And that's what we do at R&B Vintage Radio.
I've grown up in this industry because my parents have owned our business for over 25 years. So it's always been my dream to have like a Camaro of my own, and I really like the second-gen Camaros. I knew exactly what I wanted, and a good friend of ours, Butch, he went on the hunt to find it, and we actually found it in a barn in Virginia. And it was an old moonshiner's car, and it had been in a barn for probably 20 years. I had no clue that we could get it to look like this, but with the help of Goolsby's, they really made it look awesome. They put in we have some new gauges from Classic Instruments. Vintage Air gave us a unit. We got a radio and a sub in there so I can jam and all kinds of stuff, so it's really cool. And we did some work ourselves, me and my dad, so I put the intake on and the distributor and some stuff like that. I really love the color. Red is my favorite color, and I think that it just turns your head every time you see it. My friends really have no clue. They don't really understand, but I'm really lucky to be involved in this atmosphere and stuff like that. So a lot of girls my age don't get to experience it. My dad used to race funny bikes, so it's always kind of been in my blood, and I'm excited that they're just throwing me into it so I can do it myself.
And you're going to get it out to the track a little bit today?
Yes, for the first time.
First time? What about last night?
Did some donuts.
Across the street, the crowds are gathered for the races, where vintage cars showed off their handling skills.
This one here, I bought it from a guy that done a lot of Holly carburetors and stuff. Well, he passed away. I bought it from his widow. And the engine is 406, aluminum heads and stuff on it. Real stout running. Got a 700 R4 tranny in it. Good cruiser car. Got heat and air on it. Good, comfortable car. Done a lot. Found it on Craigslist for sale. Of course, the guy had passed away and had sat in his garage for 5 years, and she finally decided to sell it, and I seen it, and made a phone call, and went and got it. Search and hunt, Craigslist, all the hot rod sites on the internet. I do a lot of internet search. I get it to cruise in, just go to shows and cruise around, enjoy, have fun, go out to eat in. The look and the feel stayed true other than the wheels, and of course, it's got air conditioner, which it didn't have, and it's got the power steering tilt wheel that it didn't have. And of course, it's got a real nice updated leather interior. I just cruise. I don't even care for trophies. I don't ever enter it to win a trophy. I just here to let the people see it. First car was 57 Chevrolet, so,
That'll be your first and last cars, huh?
Probably, yes, sir. That's just the way it's set up, with air and all the nice radiator system in it, and the upholstery. Just in the color, It just caught my eye. It's set up real good.
We assemble all the products to make the fuel injection systems work in various hot rods and Jeeps, aftermarket style vehicles, all the General Motors engine systems that are popular, all the Chrysler systems that are popular, and we're currently working very hard to get all the Ford systems working in the same fashion. These systems are all designed to be form-fitted on the engines. They're a 4-wire hookup for the most part, which makes it very easy once they're installed for the installer to make them function the way they need to. And there's like a 2-part system with the wiring in a vehicle. One is the chassis components and the other is the driveline components, and we're specialized in the driveline components.
We do a lot of integration systems for Jeeps and late model vehicles, and they want to drop the Hemi into a late model truck, and that we do a lot of that. We have a special project in the shop now that's a hand-built prototype car with an Ecotec engine. The newest thing that we've come out with is really kind of different, and I don't believe anybody else is offering it at this time, is the car transmission in the Chrysler system, which is termed the NAG-1 transmission. This kit right here has got it behind the 6.4 Hemi,
which is one of the latest versions of the Generation 3 Hemi. That requires 5 modules. But we get interesting requests, like somebody will come up with a Generation 3 Hemi and they want to use the old 727 transmission with it. We found a way to make that happen. So we're always experimenting with these ideas that primarily come from the customer.
Right.
So, you know, listen to customers and do what they want.
They come up with the ideas and we just help them do it.
It's an unusual car, more so than most cars that come to the shows. So trying to find something unusual is really hard. I started on this about 4 years ago. I drug them home, I brought 3 of them home to make one car, and then I found it had enough parts to build a convertible. So, but it's hard to find these things that aren't rusted out. They had a straight 8 in them, and about 60,000 miles, the engines were junk, so they all went to scrapyard. It's unusual because nothing on a 4-door works on this car. Basically, the tail lights are different. There's a lot of different components in the 2-door hardtop, and they didn't build a whole lot of them. I like the style. I wasn't connected to it before, and then I got connected to the car.
Coming up, the most colorful history of an old-time car that you'll find. The Lokar Car Show has been brought to you by Lokar Performance Products. Quality, plain and simple. And by Possum Holler Garage. It's where the trucks are. And by Hotwire Auto. We do the work so you can play. And by Cal's Custom, proudly manufactured in the United States.
Well, it's just 40 Ford. It's just, you can't help but like them. I was just built it for a driver. I've had several, had another 40 Ford, and my wife fell in love with it, and I sold it, and she fell in love with the color. She seen it on another car, and she wanted that color, so I found the super body, and I said, I'm going to build her one. The body was excellent. It has no patch panels in it anywhere. It was just a super, super body. I met a guy at Myrtle Beach that told me about the car. Most people that's got 44 say it's an old bootlegger car, but this actually was. A bootlegger had the car back many years ago. The revenuers got after him. And they got in a crossfire, and one of the revenuers killed another revenuer. The boy got away in the car. He was scared because one of them had got shot during the crossfire. So he went and put it in somebody's basement or barn for 35 years. He passed away. His wife sold the car. Well, the man that bought it was going to build it. He bought the parts and stuff, the chassis, the engine, the running boards, just bukus of parts he had bought for the car. Well, unfortunately, he passed away. He had a heart attack and passed away. And the car was sold again. And the guy that bought it just buys and sells, and so I bought it from him.
Since I was 16 years old, I've been in a street rod club, and I've also got a 40 Chevrolet, so I'm just kind of a street rod guy. I like to keep as much chrome on them as I can. You know, Mustang front end under it, and 327, air conditioned, power steering, power brakes. It's been a hobby of mine. As far as being different, like I said, it's got some Chevrolet parts on it, early model Chevrolet parts on it, but I did the woodwork in the back, all the woodwork, and went to the mill and actually got the wood and put it on a lathe and cut the grooves for the chrome strips and whatever. And I debated about the rails on the side, and kind of debated a year or so. I didn't think, well, I hadn't seen many on trucks, so I bought those and put some, I bought the white oak, and it was a little too white for me, so I went and stained them a little bit and then put about 8 coats of star varnish on it. It does real good when it rains, you know, it doesn't hurt that. But motor's 327, which is one of the best motors I think Chevrolet ever made. And the L-Brock carburetor and electronic ignition system in it, power steering, power brakes. I've spent more money on it actually redoing it than what I paid for it.
This week's Lokar Lowdown, all kinds of new additions to the Goolsby edition line with Lokar. I'm seeing this mother of pearl stuff, and we have it in the dash here, we have it in the sill plates, but there's lots of different choices on this entire line.
Yeah, well, we got with one of the premier car builders in the country, Goolsby Customs out of Bessemer, Alabama, and they kind of told us what they wanted, what they'd like to have, right. And we went and made it in America with quality, and it's just a phenomenal line. Some of the products that we have, and it all works together. We've got the brake and clutch arms for the Kugel 180 and 90 degree brake and clutch systems. We've got the throttle pedal, shift levers for your TKO 500, 600 transmission. We've got the 32 Ford Roadster door sills and the Goolsby Edition dash. When you had talked about the mother of pearl, right. We also have those with inserts in tortoiseshell and engine turn.
I know, I was just kind of taking a peek here and seeing how that looks in there, and that is just absolutely phenomenal. But it all got started with our door handles.
Yeah, we don't want to leave the muscle car guys out of this. In our 69 Camaro, we needed a product that was different, something new, something fresh. So we did these 12-volt electric door handles. It'll actuate any, your 12-volt door latch in your car.
Just reach underneath, open the door up, simple as that, and looks phenomenal. Find out about the Goolsby Edition line from Lokar. Just hop on their website at lokar.com. Remember, made in the USA, quality, plain and simple.
That wraps it up in Nashville, Tennessee. Tune in next time as we stick around Tennessee and Pigeon Forge.